Hello, everybody. Welcome. We'll give it a couple of minutes just to let some more people trickle in. I hope everyone's having a great day. Almost Friday. Yay. Hope everybody's excited to hear about the partnership. All righty. And we are 1 minute past, and this will also be recorded and posted. So we can just go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody, again, and thank you so much for joining us today to launch the Medicare Express and LeadStar partnership. My name is Megan Guido, and today, in this quick 30-minute session, we're going to walk through the partnership perks, process, and procedures, and of course, how to get started with the program. So, just a little backstory. LeadStar has always been dedicated to servicing the needs of all Medicare agents, no matter how you guys like to sell. We have live phone calls, direct mail, and seminar services. And this new partnership with Medicare Express marks a major step forward in that progression, bringing back our in home appointments to the LeadStar ecosystem. The partnership brings together Medicare Express's history of delivering high quality in person Medicare appointments and LeadStar's exclusive priority booking access, which we will get into a little bit more later. Together, we're providing a meaningful advantage for licensed AmeriLife agents serving Medicare eligible consumers nationwide, which I am so excited to dive into with everybody here today. So, for those of you who are joining us live, please note that this session is being recorded for future distribution, and audience members' audio and video capabilities have been turned off. Please submit your questions using the Q&A function in Zoom throughout the presentation, and we will have some time to get to those at the end of the webinar. So, jumping right into it, we also have a very exciting guest with us today, Matt Graham. Matt is the SVP of Government Programs with AmeriLife and comes with an abundance of industry knowledge, whether it relates to enrollments, sales practices, compliance procedures, you name it, and Matt knows it. So Matt can give you a little overview of the relationship with Medicare Express and, Matt, how you believe this can be a big program to increase agent production.
Well, thank you, Megan, and hello to everybody. Certainly, LeadStar has continued to evolve over the years. Great leads, as you pointed out, Megan, over the phone. But Medicare Express's in-home appointments have been phenomenal. We've been working with this organization for about 4 years now. Actually came in through a recommendation from one of our internal partners, and we were able to expand that to a wider relationship. And there, and I didn't believe it at first myself, and kind of said, something must be up. That was my first year of looking at this organization, because agents were closing at 40, 50, 60% on their leads, on their in-home appointments. And yeah, they cost a couple bucks, but with those close ratios, would you rather go run 20 leads to make 3 sales? Or in Medicare Express's in-home appointments, you can make 3 sales with 3 leads. I've seen it plenty of times. In fact, I had one agent, I said, well, what's your close ratio? And she said, 110%. I said, well, I don't get that. She goes, well, I got 10 leads. I sold all 10 of them, and one of them had a spouse. So I'd call that 110%. I said, well, that's phenomenal. And it's not isolated cases or isolated markets. We've been speaking and talking and researching. Obviously, we wouldn't, proceed with this partnership if it hadn't been vetted, if we hadn't had the test. And folks out there, I don't need to tell you, AEP 54 days, that's it. That's weekends, holidays, whole 9 yards. How can you be the most efficient with your time? And it's, your close ratio, your CPA. How many leads do you have to work to get those sales? What the most valuable part of AEP is your time, given that you have to sleep and eat and probably see your family on occasion. But this makes you efficient. And let me tell you, the in-person sales, we work with call centers, we work with hybrid operations and field operations. Field operations continue to show the best rates when it comes to, placement, accretion, lower CTMs, stickier business, as far as renewals. And the carriers these days, probably seen it out there, some of the actions they've been taking, they're really pivoting back towards the field distribution. And this is a great field lead source. Medicare Express, I can't speak highly enough about them. And you will have, variations of quality during different times of the year. AEP is very high, and sometimes, as we know, for rest of year, lock in and get a little bit tougher out there. And, if you're into the D-SNP market, and Medicare Express particularly excels at that, it's one of the fastest growing markets within MA. If you're keeping track of where the actual growth is coming from, it's not traditional MAPD, it's the SNPs. So, Megan, turning back to you.
Yes, thank you so much. And I love all those real life anecdotes. I mean, we can talk about the program all day long, but the results and the real numbers there are really amazing and important to hear. So I think I can speak for everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and providing all of your insights. And feel free to jump off. I know you're a busy man today.
All good. Thank you.
Of course. All right. So, next on the agenda, let's talk about the process of generating, booking, and carrying out in-home appointments with us. So, the process. Step number one, it's going to be an inbound phone call to an onshore center's recorded line from digital advertisements. If you're familiar with our typical phone calls, going to be a very similar process. Someone calls in from something they see online and they get directed to a call center that will be recorded and stored. Step number two, they're going to confirm that the beneficiary has Medicare Parts A and B. They're going to confirm what carrier they're currently on, their zip code, and if the customer is over 65. Step number three, they're going to reconfirm Medicare A and B, ensure they're not on TRICARE or previous employer coverage. Those two steps are very, very important to making sure that you have a high intent individual that is actually eligible for enrollment, especially confirming that Medicare Advantage twice. I'm sure we all know a lot of times beneficiaries aren't really sure what their coverage is. They might get confused with Medicaid. So really hammering that part in is going to be very, very important. Number four, they're going to be gathering consent for appointments and discussing plan options. So they're going to be gathering that consent on your behalf. Number five, they're going to be receiving priority booking through LeadStar in select areas. You get meetings first. So that's a big perk to this partnership. It is in select areas, which we'll talk about how you can verify your eligibility here shortly. But if you go through LeadStar, you are going to get your appointments before anybody else who is using Medicare Express. And this is due to us wanting to make sure that you're getting the volume that you are requesting. And that's also part of why we're only launching in select areas. We asked Medicare Express to provide us a list of where they have excess volume and where they already don't have agents taking up the current volume. So both of these combined, priority booking and those limited zip codes, it's going to provide you a really amazing experience from the volume standpoint. Step number six, we're going to book the appointment to your calendar based on your availability and also send an email and text message to the beneficiary confirming the appointment on your behalf. So you're going to connect your calendar to the LeadStar account, which I'll show you here shortly. So we'll check when you're available. There'll also be a way for you to block off entire days, no matter what your calendar says, which again, I'll show you in the demonstration. Step number seven, agent must contact the beneficiary and collect the SOA at least 48 hours prior to the appointment date. And then lastly, you must download the provided scope of appointment document and complete, sign, and store once the appointment is completed. So that's the process. And you might be thinking, why do I have to collect my own SOA with these appointments? Now, interpretations are always changing year to year and even month to month, depending on who you ask. But our current interpretation of the CMS regulation is pretty plainly outlined in the text, which I've included here to explain. An agent and broker are responsible for obtaining their own scope of appointment, not an unlicensed call center agent. Section 422.2274B discusses the requirements that an agent or broker must secure the scope of appointment and document it, which can be done using our dialer recording system and also the form we will send to you. Now, the second image here in section 422.2274C9 further states that the agent and broker must obtain and complete the SOA themselves and does not include that an unlicensed representative can officially obtain this for you. So you do have to obtain the scope on your end at least 48 hours before the appointment time if you are enrolling with LeadStar. When we go through the demo here in a second, you're going to see a couple of things labeled scope when you get to your appointment booked and review the lead details. This does not mean that you can rely on this for an accurate and complete scope of appointment. As we just reviewed, you still have to collect this yourself, and Medicare Express's process allows for a higher intent lead to run through your funnel, but cannot be repurposed as a compliance scope if you are using LeadStar due to our interpretation of the ruling. We decided to keep the Medicare Express scope Medicare Express creates, as it acts as a very good level of intent gathering on the generation side. Removing this process would actually allow for 20 to 30% more clients to run through the funnel that would not have completed an SOA otherwise. So it is important to include, although it also is still very important to emphasize that you do still have to contact and collect the SOA on your side as well. Now, how does this affect you as an agent? It requires you to be very diligent in your outreach once an appointment is set to confirm interest and collect the scope of appointment, which you should already be doing anyways. You should already be very, very diligent in your outreach. As Matt talked about, in-home appointments can be very sticky, but the stickiness is kind of really on the agent to carry out. You need to make sure that you're contacting these people very, very diligently. Number two, it's building a lot of trust and rapport with your clients before the appointment time, making them more likely to engage at the actual time of the appointment. We all know as well, sometimes in-homes can, have no-shows or people want to cancel, things like that. Making sure that you're contacting them immediately and also confirming the appointment, gathering that scope of appointment is going to build a lot of trust and rapport and make that no-show rate go down. Number three, it's also going to protect you no matter which carrier you enroll or what state you're in, ensuring that you're capturing the full scope of appointment process accurately and completely. As we talked about a lot of the times, there's different interpretations depending on where you're located or who you're talking to. But there's no argument that the agent or broker collecting the scope of appointment themselves is non-compliant. So please make sure that you are doing that when you're using LeadStar. And lastly, the 48-hour rule is actually slated to be redacted in time for AEP this year, which allows you to capture your own scope of appointment at the actual appointment time as opposed to 48 hours before, which is going to be a huge plus to this process. Now, this is not confirmed. It's just what seems like is going to happen if we keep going down the path that we're going right now. So we'll all keep our fingers crossed that 48-hour rule is no longer needing to be applied here, because that will help your processes here quite a bit. Right. And we'll get to any questions on this here again at the end. I am seeing them come in and I promise I will be getting back to them. All right. So now that we've run through the process, the SOA collection, everything like that, how do you actually access the appointments? So I'm going to be pulling up my agent account that I have here to show you guys the process it takes to actually be enrolled in the program. So there's going to be two different experiences, although they're pretty much identical. It's just, do you already have an account or are you signing up brand new? If you already have an account, you're going to go to the dialer. Then you're going to be going to your settings, the agent settings page here, and scrolling down to field appointment settings. If you do not already have a LeadStar account, you can create it at LeadStar at leadstarhub.com or leadstar.leadstarhub.com, apologies. And you can do this upon the onboarding of your account. It's going to be I believe like 4 or 5 in your setup. This will pop up and you can enroll there. No matter what your account status is, you're going to want to make sure that you have these field appointments enabled. Read through this brief description that includes the price of the lead at $100 and a very high level description of how to actually enroll, but we'll make sure we get into the details here, and that you are responsible for obtaining your own SOA yet again, because that is very important. So make sure you have your field appointments enabled. Next, we're going to scroll down here and look at the home location zip code. I do already have my calendar synced. If you do not have your calendar synced yet, or you need to resync it, it will give you a notification here that you need to sync your calendar before you can check your eligibility. So make sure your calendar is synced. It's just a couple clicks of a button. We did run into an issue this morning where the screen was just kind of perpetually loading after you synced it. Although if you hit refresh, it immediately fixes. So if you run into that issue, just refresh. It should be fixed by now, but definitely just want to let everybody know. And then also the next step, the home location zip code. So in our email that we sent out today, we did include an Excel file of all the zip codes that would make you eligible for the program. You can also just check it here, but figured we would give you the master list as well. So you're going to put in your zip code. This one is eligible. You'll see location is eligible for Medicare Express, but just as an example, this zip code is not eligible, and it'll go ahead and tell you that you're not eligible to be a part of the system. So, and in that case, just stay tuned. We will be updating the zip list, semi-frequently. So let us know. We can check if we can add it, but we do want to make sure that we keep our zip list where we will actually be able to book the appointments. So we can't add everything, unfortunately. Once you have this selected, you're going to go ahead and enable Medicare Express. Once we've confirmed your eligibility, you're going to put in your personal phone number, the appointment duration, which does include drive time. The 90 minutes is standard. So theoretically, you could get booked an appointment at noon and then another one at 1:30. So just keep that in mind whenever you're entering this in here. And then also your car type and color, which is going to be used for the text messages and emails that we send out to the beneficiary on your behalf so that they know who's showing up to their house. Once you have all these fields completed, we'll go ahead and scroll back up. You can enter in the zip codes that you actually want to work. So the home zip location is to make sure you're eligible depending on where you are. And then you can put in whatever zip codes you would like. You just type them in and then hit enter. So for instance, I'll just enter in this one again. If I just paste it here, they actually fixed that. So never mind. You don't even have to hit enter anymore. So put all the zip codes that you would like. There's no minimum necessarily, but we do recommend that you do as many as you feel comfortable with to increase your volume. So enter that in there. The buffer time is actually going to be the exact same as this appointment duration. So just put whatever you want here, paste it into here as well. The weekly appointments is going to be how many appointments you want us to try to book for you. The more, the merrier, obviously. But if you say that you're able to take more, like at least 10 appointments or so, it's going to yield a better volume because we'll have a commitment on your end that if we do generate an appointment, you'll be able to take it. So we say at least 10. There's technically no minimum, but whatever you put here, just make sure that you have enough funds for us to actually book the appointment. That's pretty important too. If you commit to a certain amount here, they're $100. So if you say 8, you're going to need 800 in here. It's not an actual requirement. It's not going to stop you from moving forward with the system, but from an operational standpoint, it is pretty important. And then we're pretty much done. This is the section where you can block off entire days if you would like, but it's not necessary because we are reading your calendar here too, but that is an option. So once you're completed with all of this and you're happy with your selections, all you have to do is hit save changes and you will be available for field appointments. I'm going to go ahead and shut mine off because this is an active account and I don't actually want any appointments to get booked. But theoretically, we would have submitted our request to Medicare Express for appointments. And then once we actually start getting them booked, you would move over here to the appointments tab to actually view the appointments that are set for you. They'll be posted to your calendar as well, so you get the notification there. And then you can go ahead and log into LeadStar to view the full access. So you'll get the name of the lead, the date and time of the appointment, all the contact information, and this little pop-up, which will look familiar if you guys have used Medicare Express before, but I'll walk you through some of what these buttons do. So it's going to give you the date and time of the appointment again, some of that preliminary information. And then again, just needing to make this very clear, this says has scope. Yes, all of your appointments will say that. But again, you cannot repurpose this scope as your own. This is just to enforce a higher intent, but you do have to collect your own as well. You can mark your disposition here, which is very, very important for not only yourself to stay organized, but for our team to know when we need to start optimizing things, what's the conversion rate, things like that. So please make sure you're filling this out for every single lead that you have. You also can view the quiz here, which is going to be the answers to all of the call center questions that are asked so that you can be better prepared for your in-home appointment. These two buttons here can be ignored. The call and the email buttons will not work on LeadStar. This messages section here is going to be for, the text messages that Medicare Express is sending out on your behalf. And then the notes here is where you can put down your own notes. Maybe you need to rebook a meeting with this person, or you spoke about this policy, or they're interested in this and that, or they have a friend that they want you to enroll. You put whatever you want in here. I would love to see every single appointment have a note. We want all the information that you can give us so that we can, again, just understand what's happening with the leads that run through the system. All right, so that's how you purchase the appointments, put your request in, and manage them once once they've been booked. So that's it on the demonstration. We'll get back to our presentation here. Quickly, just sales tips for appointment success. I always like to make sure, even if it's just at a high level, I'm making sure that you guys are prepped and prepared when you're purchasing our leads so that you have the highest chance of being successful. So a lot of these we've already discussed, but they're very, very important. Reach out to the lead immediately. It's not only important for the collection of the scope of appointment, but to also confirm the appointment itself, put a face to the name. Possibly, I know a lot of agents will send like videos and photos of themselves to the lead over text message, things like that, just to humanize yourself. Will help a lot with, that rapport and that trust that we discussed previously, in addition to collecting the scope of appointment. So review and confirm the consumer information while you're contacting that individual. Make sure that everything was inputted correctly. There was no typos so that you can actually show up to the correct location with all the right information. Again, collect and complete the scope to protect yourself. And then add dispositions and notes after the meeting is completed. I just discussed this as well, but it is very, very important to me personally that we have all the information that we need so that we can do everything we can to make you guys successful. And then lastly, follow up via call, text, email, or email to increase the stickiness of your leads. We talked a lot about how in-homes can be very sticky, but it does require work on the agent's end, your end, to make that lead sticky. You do have to, continue to build that relationship, have those touch points with your leads, not just the initial enrollment, like you do with any other lead you work. This is no different. And then this chart here is just a quick overview of the buttons that I showed you that are actually going to be in your account when you get a lead. And when you get an appointment, this is just, their function, how they work, and then when to use them, just as a brief overview guide for what we just discussed. All right. And then we're closing up here on the 30-minute mark. I just have one more slide to go over, and then we'll head into some of the Q&A. So the last slide here is pretty exciting. So we've talked a lot mainly about appointments, but that's not all that we're partnering with Medicare Express on. We also have an addition to our regular call queues with a Medicare Express call queue. It's going to be the MA Inbound Transfer Campaign E with a virtual agent handoff. So this can be found using the dialer queues page. You can join the queue. We'll have all of the marketing materials, as always, listed there with a brief description. These calls are going to be in-home appointments that didn't want to be in person. They wanted to speak now over the phone. So pretty high intent leads. If you consider the funnel that an in-home takes to go through, they're going to go through the same funnel. So pretty excited to have these on. We haven't had that much volume delivered yet, but I wanted to share some stats because they are very promising. We've delivered about 100 calls. This cost per sale is around 170, which we anticipate to continue dropping as we get more and more volume. Because as I'm sure if you guys have been on my webinars before, I always talk about how the more volume yields more success. And then we're active nationwide, but Texas, Georgia, Illinois, Michigan, and Florida are the top volume drivers, which doesn't mean a whole lot right now since we have volume, but we haven't delivered that many calls yet. So take that with a grain of salt. But if you're looking to start somewhere now, that's where agents are currently working. All right. And that's all I have for you on the Medicare Express and LeadStar partnership. So I'm going to switch over here and start reading through some of these Q&As that we have in our last 5 minutes here together. So does Medicare Express appointments have T65? So no, there is not a funnel specifically for T65. And honestly, that's because that's a very coveted and very high in demand group of people to create into a lead. They're constantly being targeted. Typically, I've really only seen T65 as like a seminar or a list, not anything like an inbound call or an in-home appointment that requires someone to contact you first. So no, we don't have those. It's going to be general Medicare Advantage, but I would advise you to head over to LeadStar seminars that we do with Leading Response if you do want T65. They have some seminar services for that. Can Medicare Express schedule appointments at our office? Yeah, you can tell them whatever location that you want to be booked at. Just email us and we can get that handled for you. What is the refund policy for bad leads? And we all know there are always some. You are correct. Not every single lead that we deliver or that any lead that you'll get anywhere is going to be a lay down sale. There's, of course, going to be some ones that don't convert. And in those cases, you can reach out to LeadStar at leadstarhub.com. And our process is basically just to review with Medicare Express, these appointments specifically, review with Medicare Express if they were set ethically or not. And that will determine whether or not we can provide you with a credit. We have to just make sure that we're doing everything possible on our side. But if the lead was pushed into the appointment, the call center rep was, urging them to do it when it really sounded like they didn't want to, then we would be able to cover that for you. Are the call centers offshore? So no, the call centers are not offshore. LeadStar does not work with any offshore centers. Who monitors the call reps that are doing the pre-qualifying? Can we hear if we feel it's a bad lead? So we are monitoring those call centers. Medicare Express is monitoring those call centers. And in your account, that scope button will actually show you a portion of the conversation that drives intent. So you can listen to a portion of the conversation if you feel it is a bad lead, and you can reach out to us so we can investigate the entire funnel. Say a prayer to that rule. I know you're talking about the 48-hour rule, and I'm right there with you. Will the people setting the meetings verify the client is on SSDI if the client isn't 65 to verify they have Medicare? Yes, they will make sure that they are still eligible, although majority of the time that will kick them out of the funnel, but they will make sure that they still have Medicare if they are not of age. What happens if you can't reach your client on the phone? This is something that does happen a lot. I mentioned briefly before that there are a lot of no-shows when it comes to in-home appointments. That's pretty standard. You're going to expect 10 to 15% of your clients to be no-show. You can't reach them, whatever it is. Our process for making that situation right, like I said before, is to review the call recording and make sure that the individual was set ethically in an appointment. If they said yes, nothing was pushy, they fully understood the process, they agreed, yes, I want this appointment. We, unfortunately, even if you aren't able to contact them, cannot credit because there wasn't anything additional that we could have done on our end to make them show up. So my recommendation there was to keep calling, text them, email them, send that video, send that photograph of yourself, send them a card to their house to try to reschedule for later. Do everything you can to make sure you can still show up to that appointment. For the SOA, if the consumer initiated the call 48 hours can be justified, stated that it was an inbound call. If this exception could apply with LeadStar. So that exception only applies if they're meeting instantaneously. It does not apply if it is a appointment set on your behalf. So for instance, our inbound calls, we always say, it is counted as a walk-in. This, unfortunately, even though it is initiated by an inbound call, you're not meeting with the client immediately. It is an appointment that's set for you. So the same exception cannot apply. Someone saying they didn't get the zip list. We'll make sure that gets sent out tomorrow in our follow-up communication. Caroline, I have my account set up and was able to load funds. When will I start receiving leads? I'll take down your name and just make sure that we are double checking that you did everything properly, but make sure you opt into Medicare Express. They can start booking your appointments pretty immediately. It'll just be farther out, at least 48 hours out. Couple people saying they didn't get the zip list. We'll make sure that you get it. But also remember, you can just log into your account and type in your home zip code and make sure that you're eligible. Can the appointment be set electronically if you have the proper program? So we don't do it electronically for you, but we do have live transfer calls where it's an instantaneous meeting, or you can call that consumer at the time of the meeting and meet with them virtually. All right, we are at 30 minutes and there are a lot of Q&As that I have not answered, but I do have about 5 more minutes. I can run through some other ones if everybody else still has time. Excuse me. How can I add a state? So the zip code, the zip code location will be where we verify if you're eligible via what state you're in. Monica Ross Williams, please email our support line about that. You might have something with Medicare Express set up already that's causing an error message. Would I receive a notification to my Gmail that an appointment has been set? You should be receiving an email and you will have a notification and the actual booking on your calendar that the appointment is set. Yes. Can we have your contact information if we have questions in the future? I did not include a slide on that this time. I screwed that up. But our contact info is leadstar at leadstarhub.com. You reach out to us there and we'll get you situated with whatever you need. Okay, some of these are just duplicate questions. I'm trying to run through them quickly. Is there a text alert to the agent when the appointment is scheduled? Yes, we do send them a text alert. Couple people asking to just review some more things about the demo I did. This will be recorded to our YouTube channel, so reach out to that email, leadstar at leadstarhub.com, if you need the actual recording, and we can send it to you from our YouTube channel. I'm currently using the Medicare Express dialer and the calls are $39. Are those going away? No. What we have set up is separate from theirs. You'll use the LeadStar dialer to access our Medicare Express calls. Just scrolling through here. I'll give it about 3 more minutes. I love all the questions though, guys. Thank you for being so active. Leslie, how do you pick what campaigns you want to run? I'm assuming you're talking about phone calls. Go ahead and reach out to our email and we can help you pick which ones fit your needs best. I've been saying that for a lot of these questions, but we want to make sure we're giving you guys the specialized help that you're asking for. If I already have a CRM that does everything that yours does, am I required to update your system? So we do connect with external CRMs. You will still have to update our system as well, but we can connect with yours. So maybe the disposition that you mark in our system can be sent to your CRM. That's typically how it works, but we would just need to review what actual CRM that you have. Again, you can email us too, so we can talk about that a little bit more. Someone asked, can we use both Medicare Express and LeadStar for in-person appointments? That's a really good question. I would honestly say there's not really a reason for you to use both. It's the same price. You get priority booking through us. There would be a way for you to use both. We haven't there's going to be some error messages that occur though, especially if you're using like the same email address and things like that. So if you do want to do that for some reason that I'm not thinking of right now, just let us know and we can help walk you through it and make sure that your needs are met. Are you going to have to migrate or merge old Medicare Express accounts with LeadStar and our current funds transfer to the new profile? If so, that's a really good question. Any funds that we're not merging any accounts. The accounts will remain separated. What you can do is pause your traffic in one system, no matter which one it is, and rely solely on one. But again, those funds are only applicable to the system in which you sent them to originally. You can talk to, I know our team will issue refunds if you need it. Not sure about Medicare Express, but the funds will not be transferable and we do not migrate or merge old accounts. Couple people are asking if they need help setting up their account, if they can schedule a call. We can absolutely schedule a call with you guys. Again, LeadStar at leadstarhub.com. Hopefully you guys never forget that email. I feel like I've said it 15 times in the last 5 minutes. What about if the lead location is not safe? Currently, this is an option with Medicare Express, along with no-show and wrong address, things of that nature. Do you refund for those also? So yes, the good thing about this too is that we're using kind of 2 layers of protection for refunds. So we're doing a review with Medicare Express first. They'll decide if they are going to provide you guys with the credit. If not, then the LeadStar team can review and see if we can make anything work on our end. If my zip code is not in the list, can I go to appointment in another area. So if your zip code's not in the list, but you see something close to you, I mean, we're not verifying where you live. So that would be fine as long as you can still make it to the appointments. Can I get the recording? Yes, you absolutely can tomorrow when I send out a follow-up email. What are the cost of the leads? They are $100. All right, I'm getting to the bottom of these Q&As. I cannot believe I got through almost all of them in just 5 minutes here. You must use if you want the LeadStar Medicare Express appointments, you must use the LeadStar system. The Medicare Express apps will not be the same thing. Support email is leadstar@leadstarhub.com. Saw someone ask for that again just a minute ago. If you guys are having issues with the zip codes not being available, that again, it is for a reason. We wanted to make sure that the volume would be available. So it could be because Medicare Express currently isn't generating leads in that area, or agents in that area are already, taking up all the volume that they have. But what you can do is reach out to us with the zip code and we can see if we can make something work, but no promises. And we will be releasing additional zip codes as we continue with the partnership. All right. So that is it with the Q&A. I went a little bit over, but I appreciate all of you guys for attending. And I'm excited to, continue this partnership and help you guys produce more sales. So thank you all for joining, and I hope everyone has a great week. Bye, everybody.